For this video, we're going to be talking about how to mix our complementary colors and then also our chromatic grays. And so for our complementary colors, what we're going to do is we're going to swatch each color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be working with a nice red orange, and then my complement for that is going to be a cyan, because the cyan is a little bit farther toward, it has a little bit more green in it than say a true blue. So I'm going to swatch each one of my colors and we'll get a good sense of how this is going to work. So you always want to mix your darker color into your lighter color. In this case, the cyan is going to be a little bit darker than the red orange. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over and I'm going to grab a little bit of the cyan once again, and we're going to go ahead and mix it. And you can see this will take a little bit more than say we initially thought. And so we'll go ahead and you'll see immediately it definitely starts to change it. And so don't be afraid of these colors. These are definitely kind of uncomfortable colors, that is for sure. But they are colors I think that are just as valuable for us to work with. So it might be that these are neutrals that you're mixing or that you're working with. And you can see here, there's definitely kind of that greenish undertone that we're seeing. And so we're going to swatch each one of these, and there'll come a point when you're swatching your neutrals that you're going to switch back over to the opposite color. And so I'll show you what I mean in just a minute by that. So here you can see now, you can see a lot of that green is coming through. And so this is when we kind of switch to the other side. So here, I'm going to add a little bit more cyan in this. And at this point, I can start adding this color back into my cyan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this color and then I'm going to add it into this cyan. And this is going to start to get us back closer to our cyan. So you'll see here. So now I'm stepping closer towards my cyan. And at this point, I might need to add a little bit more cyan just to get me a little bit closer. And you can definitely see kind of my neutral one is right there. And so what I'm doing is I'm adding more of that cyan into that color that's pretty close at this point. And so I'll probably need just one more step. And there we go. Pretty happy with that. And I'll add just a smidge bit more, and then I think I'll be as close as I can possibly get to my original cyan. So what's nice about this with your complementary colors composition is you can mix tints and shades and chromatic grays off of this in any way that you really want to. So all of that is very much kind of fair game for what we're doing. And then of course I have my cyan swatch right there. So I'm going from my red orange, going through my neutrals, and then my red orange then starts to neutralize out my cyan. And so this would be a range. You might want some more steps, maybe in here to select some. You'll need 5 for your composition that you're working with. The other thing that we're also going to be doing is we're going to be working with our chromatic grays, which are grays with a little bit of color mixed into it. So what I've done is I've mixed a neutral gray, and you can mix any gray that you want. It can be a lighter value, a darker value gray, whatever makes sense to you. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to swatch my gray. And then we're going to do the same exact thing that we've been doing. So here in this sense, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some cyan, and I'm going to start adding it into my gray. And of course down here at the bottom, we would definitely want to have a swatch of the cyan. So the color in your gray should be really pretty subtle at first. It should be just a really nice small amount that you can really only compare it to another gray. So I'm going to bring it here. Yep. And I can already see those blue undertones. And we'll jump forward just a little bit more just so you guys can see the difference. And so the reason that we're swatching kind of like each one of these to kind of get a sense for it is to really understand like how we're going to be using our color and how can we make kind of very subtle changes in that color as we're working with it. So I'm going to go through and you can see that this definitely has a lot more of the cyan in it. It's easier to see, it's easier to discern. And so here we're not looking for a change in value, right? The value is going to change, stay the same. What we're looking for is a change in um, saturation, right? So luminosity, value, all of that is going to stay exactly the same. But what is going to change is the amount of that color in there. And so at a certain point also with this, the same way that we've done with other colors, we can then start to mix that color into our cyan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and now I'm going to mix this into my cyan so that you guys can see that change a little bit quicker. And so here you'll see a big jump because I've added so much of it, but it will help us kind of move forward. So you'll see here. So same value, same range of color, but here you can actually see that it is becoming more saturated. And so I'm adding quite a bit of cyan just because I want you guys to be able to see this clearly on the video, but of course you'll be using smaller amounts than I am right here. So, and ideally when you get down to the end, the last cyan swatch should very much just have a little tiny bit of gray in it. And then you should have your pure cyan next. So I'll swatch this and then we'll be in a good place, I think. Nice. So this is a good example of how saturation can change, and this one's going to be a little bit subtle. So definitely making sure that you're working in natural light is really important. And then we would probably have a couple more steps to get back to that cyan. So no color, adding saturation. Here we're neutralizing the two colors on either side of the complementary set. And then right around here, you'll see a neutral we'll be able to get. So this is a new range of colors that you can work with within your compositions.